an interview. It's when the lens cap is on.
Exactly, because then you can't see who I am.
Exactly. It's always it's more ominous, you know.
I'm gonna wonder what I look like.
You're gonna wonder, cause you have one of those
voices.
voices.
Here's just this voice.
And it's one of those voices where you're like, man, I know that voice. I want to see this guy.
Whose voice could it be?
Yeah. And it's like on a CD where like.
And you see the guy and you're like, oh.
My bad. It's like on a CD when you hear somebody's voice and they're like singing backup vocals and you're like, I know that guy, but who the hell is it?
Who is it?
Well, Scott.
No.
Who are you?
I remember when I lost my mind.
I really like movies, man. I'm gonna be a movie director. Write, direct, edit, compose. The first movie I really fell in love with was Terminator, Terminator 2. So that kind of made me a James Cameron fan. It was introduced in Spielberg a little bit after that, and I really enjoyed Jaws. I think Jaws is amazing. And from Jaws, I went from Jaws to, I thought it was about Star Wars around age 10, Mr. Lucas. That's when I really got to know Lucas and his stuff, and I really enjoyed those. Really loved like Space Jam. That's when I really started discovering my heroes. When I saw like Reservoir Dogs for the first time, I was pretty stricken by that with Tarantino. And then Sam Mendes from American Beauty. I think when you start hitting the pubic age of puberty and
the pubic age.
the pubic age, the PA, as I like to call it. That's when you really you start to see kind of discover things for yourself. When you're a little kid, you know, it kind of filters through your parents, you know. I'm not saying every movie you ever watch, but you understand what I'm saying.
Of course.
And but when you start getting on your own and you start discovering things besides women, you start listening to more of your own kind of music, and you read more of your own kind of books, and then you start watching movies of your own that your parents don't really, you know, might not really enjoy as much. Later watching Army of the Darkness with you, Bruce Campbell, who's a huge influence, as well as Sam Raimi, you know, and then getting more to the horror aspect of it. And then, you know, I find a story about like Robert Rodriguez and like how he's such a do-it-yourself, encouraging, motivational kind of person that he is, and telling you, you know, you can make a movie. You just gotta do it. You know, you just gotta make your movie. You gotta do it. It doesn't have to be extremely expensive to be good, and that's a key factor.
Don't talk, watch!
Introduce yourself.
I am Dustin Spain.
What do you do for a living?
What I do for a living, what I did for a living is much more interesting than what I do. Currently, I do nothing.
Yeah, it's Club National Underground Thunderbounds when I stop the ground. Like a million elephants, a silverback orangutan, you can't stop a train.
I loved working outside, mowing grass, weed eating, climbing trees, chainsawing stuff down.
Inspirations, man?
Inspirations for me, I'll have to say it did probably start with Spielberg, because that was the first director. Actually, I knew his name, and that was really cool with me. And Jurassic Park, to me, really threw me into the film world because it scared me, and I loved it. I watched it the first time, and I remember being like, you know, freaked out. But I watched it the second time and remember being on the edge of my seat, not for fear, but for anticipation, because I knew it was coming, and I wanted to see it happen. You know.
What is your dream movie?
My dream movie to make. In all honesty, like I picture me and Scott, and then I picture like our, you know, the one movie that we really make, and I see it being The Legend of Zelda. And it's 4 a.m. Scott's sleeping in like the tent next to me. You know, we don't even have hotels. We're in the middle of New Zealand in the most beautiful place on the earth, with Mr. Coffee, a generator, and like camera equipment. You know, and we get up and we're like, okay, what's on today's agenda? We're all we need, you know? We've always been kind of do-it-yourselfers. Scott especially, he introduced me to the world of Sam Raimi, who was, you know, as far as I'm concerned, our idol as do-it-yourselfers. You know, he inspired us to be like, we can make movies, you know, And it's not that, you know, we can make movies, we have made movies. That makes us directors, that makes us producers.
Yeah.
We're in the world, just on a very small scale. Guy Ritchie probably made the first movie that I really watched and enjoyed from a film aspect. Not only because it was a great movie, it was Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. I watched that movie and there were things in it that I'm sure have been done before, but I saw it for the first time and was personally amazed. Sam Raimi, also in there as one of my top movie guys. He was the guy that kind of introduced me to indie films, you know, independent films. Started out with The Army of Darkness, I'm not gonna lie. I started at the end of the trilogy and fell in love. And then I watched The Evil Dead and I was blown away at, you know, he asked people for money and they gave it to him and he made a movie, you know? And that to me is, I was like, you know, I could probably do that. And that kind of led me into the film world. And so he was like, okay, check this out. Cool thing about this camera, it's got this handle. So you can hold it and you can like run with it. And it's like down here, you know? And it's like, and it's shooting this way, but it's down here and you're like, oh, there's feed and you're looking up at stuff, it makes things look important. And so like I ran around and did that and I was like, and it was learning through doing. And I was like, yes, that's what I want, you know? And that, my senior year was the biggest learning experience of my entire life. But life gets away from you. So you enjoy it while you got it. And I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Closing time, open all the doors and let you out into the world.